Big Lake State Forest Campground is located in Michigan's Upper Peninsula, up near Watton, Michigan, kind of nestled off in the middle of nowhere. It really gives you a nice remote feeling. When you finally get down the 2 tracks and dirt roads to this campground, you first come up on campsites as opposed to the campground registration station. The registration station is located a little more center of the campground. The first very few sites that you come up to, you'll actually notice that there is a big lake. From the campground, you can only see a small part of Big Lake. The lake itself is about 127 acres in size, and you can expect to catch walleye, bass, yellow perch, and some sunfish here in the lake. It's just your typical northern Michigan lake, except for the fact that the North Country Trail runs through it. We'll take a quick look at the trail here at the end of the campground video. But we're going to walk through the whole campground here. You only have 15 campsites to choose from, so it's not like it's going to be a huge populated campground as you're here, but it is pretty popular and fills up over the weekends, especially during the summer season, because the campground is not far from some ORV trails, and it's pretty popular for fishing, and the hikers and backpackers that are traveling the North Country Trail actually frequently stop here for the night or use it for a parking spot and a trailhead. You can see the layout of the campground isn't just one big loop. There's a couple loops, and there is a small boat launch at the very end of the campground. There is a lake map that's here that shows the different depths of the lake. At the registration station, you have your typical envelopes, and the only pump for water in the campground is at the registration station. As I walk through the campground, you can see that most of the campsites are really well maintained and plenty large enough for medium to large size trailers, pop-up campers, a couple different tents in each campsite. There's quite a bit of space in this first set of campsites that you come up to. Look at this one here. It's actually just really big. We're on the way down towards the boat launch here, down that second part of the loop. There's a couple different outhouses throughout the campground, so it's not like you're walking super far. What surprises me the most about this campground is you can see other houses and cabins along the side of the lake. It just felt like a really remote drive getting here, so I didn't expect there to be places along the water. I guess I should expect that being here in Michigan. If there's water, most people like to build on it, but it just seems like we're out in the middle of nowhere. My assumption is that bears aren't an issue, otherwise we would have different kinds of garbage receptacles. And some of the campsites that you get to as you go farther along the loops and farther into the campground are more tent style. The campsites themselves are not super level. They'd be hard to get a trailer backed into. Here we are looking out over the area near the boat launch. There's actually a sandy beach up here as well. I'm going to walk over and check both out. There isn't a ton of extra parking for the boat launch area, so maybe 4 or 5 vehicles and boat trailers could fit over in this space, but it doesn't look like it's used that much anyways. It's more of a sandy pad. Backing down here with a large boat would be difficult to say the least, and you definitely wouldn't want to do it if it's super muddy and you don't have at least all-wheel drive. They've laid the rocks out so that you have to shoot straight back. You can't pull a boat off to the left or the right, and I'm sure the water level is normally a little deeper than it is right now, but it's just super shallow, it looks like, way out into there. You can see it's a little mucky, a little shallow. The sandy bottom out in there looks like it goes away real quick. I didn't go out on this lake, and I didn't take the kayak off my vehicle, so I can't say for sure what it's like once you get out farther. But it must be a pretty clean lake, otherwise it wouldn't hold walleye. We're going to walk down here now real quick to the beach area. It's actually a really nice little sandy beach spot. Definitely something that kids would enjoy coming to on a super hot sunny day. You can see it's nice and sandy out there for quite a ways, and it's pretty extensive to the left and the right for a state forest campground. This is almost something I would expect from a national forest or maybe even a state park campground, but the beach is nice. You can see there's been some kids, I assume, kids playing down here on the beach. Maybe they weren't kids, but either way, somebody had some fun, and they definitely built some sand castles, maybe even a little village out here. I'm going to continue on through the rest of the campground. This is where the road that goes down to the boat launch comes back to the main loop of the campground. And you can see the rest of the campsites, they kind of have a little bit of a view of the water, but you don't have any water access. You can't just walk a little dirt track down to get to the water. You actually would have to go to the boat launch area and the beach area if you want water access. You're up a little higher off the ground, and there's some deer tracks going through the campsite here. Deer aren't super common here, I wouldn't expect, because it's been clear cut around the campground in the past and it's just super open. But like I had mentioned before, some of these campsites are not super level. They definitely would be more suitable for a tent than a camper or trailer. Here we have the North Country National Scenic Trail that comes right through the campground. This would be an excellent spot to stay the night if you're looking to do some NCT hiking. I remember hiking this section of the trail, and as challenging as it is when it's super hot to go through these clear-cut spaces, they sure are beautiful and remote once you get here.